Hello, astrology lovers. You may have come across many people that use different techniques to understand a person's personality. I've noticed most of the astrologers use Rishi, Gemini's technique of Arudha to understand a person's personality, and some even use planetary positions and yogas to understand a person. My intention to make this video is to shine light on another technique of astrology by which we can understand a person deeply. I feel understanding is essential in today's era as people are changing quicker than ever. Also, relationships are breaking faster than ever. Thus, it requires proper understanding to deal with such issues. I feel unhappy by the way majority of astrologers study horoscope. When they see a horoscope, they are too quick to judge a person by taking into consideration planetary qualities or planetary yogas and focus too much on exaltation and debilitation of planets, whereas ignore the most substantial section of astrology, that is nakshatras, despite knowing very well that the crux of astrology depends on nakshatras. Thus, I will talk on some popular people's horoscope, just like I recently spoke on Padma Shri Priyanka Chopra. You'll find talk about her mentioned in the description box. I will explain to you how to use nakshatras for chart interpretation and also about understanding a person's personality. So, in this video, I will talk on American legend Judy Garland using ancient astrology. These are some of the photographs of Judy Garland. She had two elder sisters. She was the third and last daughter of Frank and Ethel Gum of Grand Rapids. She was an actress, dancer, singer, television host, and vaudevillian. Judy Garland attained international stardom as an actress in musical and dramatic roles and also as a recording artist and on concert stage. She worked for nearly 45 years of her 47 years. She made 32 feature films, did voice-over work for two more, and appeared in at least a dozen short subjects. She received a special Academy Award and was nominated for two others. She starred in 30 of her own television shows. The programs and Garland herself garnering a total of 10 Emmy Award nominations and appeared as a guest on nearly 30 more. Between 1951 and 1969, she fulfilled over 1,100 theater, nightclub, and concert performances, winning a special Antoinette Perry or Tony Award for the first of three record-breaking Broadway engagements at the Palace. She recorded nearly 100 singles and over a dozen record albums. Judy at Carnegie Hall received an unprecedented 5 Grammys in 1962, including Album of the Year, and has never been out of print. Her radio work encompassed several hundred broadcasts, and she sang at countless benefits and personal appearances for the military. Earlier, between the ages of 2 and 13, and prior to signing her MGM contract In 1935, she fulfilled hundreds of live vaudeville and radio dates with her two older sisters. Her last concert was in Copenhagen on 25th March 1969. Respected for her versatility, she received a Juvenile Academy Award, a Golden Globe Award, a Special Tony Award, and was the first woman to win the Grammy Award for Album of the Year for her live recording Judy at Carnegie Hall in the year 1961. So you see, she was an American legend. On the screen is Judy Garland's certificate of birth. Judy Garland's birth details: birth date and day 10th June 1922, Saturday. Birth time 6 a.m. rectified to 6 hours 23 seconds by me. Place of birth Grand Rapids, Minnesota, United States of America. Time zone -6, latitude 47 14 25 north, longitude 93 31 16 west, geocentric latitude 47 degrees 2-43.19 north, nakshatra Mula, second quarter, tithi Krishna Paksha Pratipada, Ayan Mash Khullar hourly 22 degrees 45-47.30 birth data collector Steen Breacher for Astro Data Bank. So on your screen you can see that Judy Garland's Lagna rising sign is Gemini, and to understand how I had performed her birth time rectification, you may check the links mentioned in the description box. Rising sign being Gemini, so obviously she had traits of Gemini, like she was youthful, intellectual, perceptive, had artistic traits, was eloquent in speech and writing. Her expressions were basically materialistic. Due to influence of Gemini, she had great thirst for indulgence and was blessed with quick perception. Every sign has 3 nakshatras, or every sign consists of 3 nakshatras, and so does Gemini. It consists of Mrigashira, Ardra and Punarvasu. And here, in this case of Judy, rising nakshatra is of Ardra, as Lord is Rahu. Ardra is a Kama nakshatra and female nakshatra. So although Gemini happens to be a male sign, nakshatra being stronger than sign, it will bestow more of feminine qualities. Lord of Ardra is Rahu, which is a planet of insatiable desires. This is a futuristic nakshatra. The key word for Ardra in Hindu lunar zodiac is new growth by elimination of old rubbish, and Judy Garland literally followed this. This is the nakshatra of transformation that has Rudra, the storm god, and Rudra happens to be its deity. This is one of the most difficult nakshatras. It's a nakshatra of intense transformations to grow and develop. Such people do not hesitate to do something unconventional, something that we can notice from Judy Garland's life. Its main symbol is a diamond, even though many scholars see a teardrop as its primary symbol. A diamond is mainly a mental and intellectual symbol, with its reflective multidimensional layers, signifying multifarious aspects of Mano-Maya kosha. Mano-Maya kosha in English means mental intellectual plane. Just as brilliance of a diamond depends on amount of light falling on it, brilliance of mind and intellect depends upon amount of light soul has. What I mean is that people with rising nakshatra Ardra, if they obtain a proper ecosystem, then can shine better than others. Diamond is also hardest known substance on material plane, and this hardness in turn relates to unyielding and determined aspect of this nakshatra, and we know that Judy Garland had an unyielding and determined temperament. Ardra's deity is Rudra, that appears to be avatar of Lord Shankarji. Rudra represents destructive and transformative aspect of Lord Shankarji. Such people to transform self may adopt destructive ways. This can be being too tough on self, that can be destructive. For example, avoiding food to save time to attain some goals, or not sleeping properly to get more time to do some necessary work, or waking up too early despite sleeping late, and you will notice such traits in Judy Garland. Ardra is always involved in a churning process. This makes people under its strong influence to be undergoing constant transformation. In some cases, this process produces things like gems of knowledge, and in some cases, it produces negative things like poisonous thoughts and confusion. And you will notice such things in Judy Garland's life. In universal scheme of things, Ardra relates to Yatna Shakti, power to make efforts. Its main theme is searching and reaching desired goal. It is easy to see that English words like ardrous or ardent have been derived from Ardra, and thus relates to its functioning. In fact, English as a language has a lot to do with energy of Ardra, and you may know that Judy was an ardorous person. Influence of this nakshatra can incline a person to remove or put an end to whatever has outlived its usefulness. And this we can notice well in Judy Garland, as she got married 5 times. Rudra is also known for rage. Rudra did not think twice about a very serious issue like cutting off one of Lord Brahma's head, and you may know that Judy used to get annoyed quicker than others. So from this you must understand that if you are dating a woman that has too much influence of Ardra, then you should be prepared to deal with her rage, and might even get blocked many times if you misbehave or hurt. Their physical constitution usually is quite strong, which makes them good at physical oriented jobs, and as acting is a physically tasking job, Judy Garland was good at acting, and she was associated with MGM for 16 years, and in those 16 years she worked in 28 pictures. On material prosperity scale, they tend to fluctuate between extremes. They are, however, usually not good with finances, as they are likely to spend all of their earnings, something we can notice in Judy Garland, as she often owed hundreds of thousands of dollars in back taxes. Because of illusionary energies of Rahu, Ardra can create a whole lot of confusion and make Ardra person scatter away their intellectual and mental energies in meaningless pursuits. It can also make them arrogant, reckless, and stubborn. Such traits were noticeable in Judy Garland. After Ardra, we move to Moon, as Moon is connected to mind. And here Moon happens to be 5th subsublord and 11th subsublord. 5th subsublord is connected to creativity, and 11th subsublord is connected to fulfillment of desire or fulfillment of ambition. And Moon is positioned in Mula Nakshatra. It's in the sign of Sagittarius, and star lord is Ketu, and Ketu rules Mula, so Moon is positioned in Mula Nakshatra. Lord of Mula is Ketu, and in your mind thoughts about spirituality may occur after hearing Ketu, and also due to Moon being positioned in Sagittarius. You can see Moon is positioned in Sagittarius, and Jupiter and Ketu both these planets are connected to spirituality. However, it is not true. Mula translates into root, center, or innermost core. And as in today's era, everything revolves around money, influence of Mula makes people materialistic. In my opinion, nothing really needs to be said about nature and functioning of this nakshatra after its meaning is revealed. People under the influence of Mula are straight, direct, and dislike beating around bush, and you may know that Judy Garland was too direct with her approach. Such traits help a person attain a lot of things, but they also suffer setbacks due to being too direct with their approach. Due to being too direct, they may suffer setbacks, as not always efforts yield results. As roots have tied suggests an idea of constraint and limitation, and makes a person delve deeply within a limited sphere, and this can make a person not think broadly. Mula's primary approach to life is to get to the root of things. Thus, it made Judy relentlessly work for the things that she desired, and she did not stop easily. And this approach helped her achieve so many things. Such people withdraw if they notice that their primary goals or requirements are not getting fulfilled. It is Mula's nature to quickly cut and destroy the things that have lost their value. It is an impulsive nakshatra. Due to such traits, Judy Garland left many of her partners, and such traits you can see have nothing to do with spirituality, as many people consider Ketu to be a spiritual planet. We have to understand that the process of individualization begins in Ashwini, that's the first star of Ketu, or the first nakshatra of Ketu. In the second nakshatra of Ketu, that's Magha, it lionizes, and it culminates in the third nakshatra of Ketu, that's Mula, and can make a person proud and haughty, and this can sometimes breed ego or arrogance or vanity and superiority complex. And due to superiority complex, people consider others inferior and take risks too, and it can lead one to perform abominable and demonic actions, and thus You may know that Judy Garland used to consume drugs too to quickly overcome from depressed state of mind. Also, Mula does not waste too much time in converting thoughts into actions, and this made Judy Garland an impatient person, and impatience causes many problems in interpersonal relationships, and it makes a person depend on drugs for quick fixes. And you may know that Judy Garland did not have good relationship with some of her partners and depended on drugs to deal with her depression. Ardra and Mula both belong to butcher caste, and a butcher has destructive qualities. As I told you some time earlier, Ardra is connected to new growth by elimination of old rubbish. Similarly, Mula influences to cut away anything which has outlived its usefulness, and such people carry less emotional baggage and thus are quickly able to accept the new or modern things. And you may know that Judy used to welcome changes happily. Some other celebrities whose life you may study to understand the effects of Mula can be Indian actress Karishma Sharma and Ketika Sharma. In Karishma Sharma's horoscope, Sun, Mercury and Venus in Mula, and in Ketika Sharma's horoscope, Sun and Jupiter in Mula Nakshatra. Now let's study Lagna Subsublord, that's Venus. Venus has positional status and also is positioned in Lagna in Bhav chart. Venus happens to be a female planet and its position in Punarvasu Nakshatra. Venus is in the sign of Gemini, and star lord is Jupiter, and Jupiter rules Punarvasu. So Venus is positioned in Punarvasu Nakshatra. Punarvasu is a female nakshatra and rising nakshatra is Ardra. Thus it will bestow too much of feminine traits, and thus Judy Garland had more of feminine traits despite her Lagna being a male sign. As Lagna Gemini, despite it being a male sign, she had too much of feminine traits. Punarvasu is an earth nakshatra. It translates into good gain, wealthy again, or visible infinity. Thus, Lagna Subsublord position in it with positional status can influence a person to have an obsession for money or have more interest in money than normal. Most accepted symbol of Punarvasu is a quiver full of arrows. Arrow symbolizes ambition, and you may know that Judy Garland was an ambitious woman. Arrow is always associated with some sort of motion or movement, and Judy had a personality to spear forward by quickly overcoming her past setbacks. They lacked foresight, a negative trait that can put them into complications, as those that forget their past mistakes are likely to repeat them in future, and so did Judy. So I hope I was able to provide you some understanding about Judy Garland using nakshatras, and I hope you will use this technique to understand your prospective partners or your prospective marriage partner or some family members or extended family members. Thank you so much for making to this end, and if you liked what I said, then please show it by giving a thumbs up and subscribe. I will upload more videos on such topics. Also, if time permits you, then please watch my other videos. Also, if you have any question or query, then please feel free to connect with me with the information mentioned in the description box. I wish you have a wonderful day and stay safe.